Hello everyone, this is China Paradigm, where we, Dashi Consulting, interview seasoned entrepreneurs in China.
Hello everyone, I'm Matthieu David, the founder of Dashi Consulting and this podcast, China Paradigm. Today, I am with Andrei Prokhorovich. I hope I pronounce it well. It's a Russian name. You are Russian, and you have been in China for a while. You have been in Yantai. You have been in Hong Kong as well. I think you are now based in Hong Kong. You are the founder and CEO of Eurasia Development, which is supporting the introduction of foreign technology into the Chinese market. And I feel even more than this when I looked at your website and everything you do. And that's something I'd like to understand better. For my understanding of what your company is doing, it is introducing technology, supporting the development, finding land, could also support in setting up a factory in China. Specifically, I had the feeling, but you will tell us if it's correct or not, with Russian companies. And it's something I would be very, very interested in understanding better. Thank you very much, Andrei, for being with us. You are the current CEO of the company you founded in November 2012, so already 6 years. And from my experience, when your company has more than 4 years, it's a solid company. You have found a model. You have found something interesting for your clients to do. Would you like to tell us about the number of cases you have treated, the number of clients you have worked with, an idea of the size of your business, of what you are in what stage you are in terms of development?
Okay, Matthew, thank you very much for invitation. I'm really pleased, and it's a big honor for me. Actually, I heard about your company a lot before, so yeah, I know a little about you. Actually, I didn't live in Hong Kong. My company was established in Hong Kong. I'm going there like few times a year, but most of the time I stay in China, in mainland China. Actually, my company, yes, was established in 2012, but I'm living in China for 13 years, and it's like 90% of the time I spent in China. So I'm going to trips to other countries, but living here, and my family also here. How I start? I was born in Vladivostok. It's a seaport.
Very close to China.
Yeah, far east of Russia, so very close. And because of that, I have relations with some Koreans and Japanese and Chinese company, like back to end of the 1990s. When I've been a student, I started work. And I established my first company in 2001. I also was a student and started import some products from China. And in 2006, I moved to China. So we established first company in China, in Yantai. Everybody asked me why Yantai, why it's not a Shanghai or Beijing or Shenzhen. It's because of the friends, my Chinese friends. The first guy who I met, the Chinese guy who I met, he was from Yantai. So he invited me. And when I come, I just stay here. I like that city. It's not a big, but
for people who don't know Yantai, just a couple of information. Yantai is in Shandong. So yes. You have like Qingdao, which is more famous because of the beer, because of leisure, because it's more a leisure city. Jinan because it's the capital, and then you have Yantai, which is a bit less famous, which is a very nice city, a very industrial city. And as far as I know, also a lot of Korean companies have some economic interest in Yantai as well.
Exactly. Lots of Koreans and Japanese companies set up in Yantai. Actually, the Yantai is now number 20 by GDP in China. It's not that well known. Yeah, exactly. Because it's more than 100 billion. Yeah, more than 100 billion of US dollars GDP of this city.
Wow.
In same
Where
time,
are you now?
Right now I'm in Yantai. Yeah, I'm in the head office.
Okay.
Yeah. Back to my story, if it's possible. So for a while, I was making the import-export business. Why? Because actually, first time when I thought about the technology transfer, it was 2004. I was a young guy, and it was some meeting in Russia where some guys from venture companies come, and they tell us about venture capital and the Silicon Valley and so on. So at that time, I got an idea. Well, China and Russia can be a good partners in this field, because Russia produces lots of very interesting technology, but Russia have some problems with commercialization, with monetization of these technologies. In the same time, I see some potential, huge potential of China. Back, like it was 15 years ago, back at the time, I see huge potential. But
what
I was
technology could you share what technology? What technology are you talking about in 2005, 2006, right? You say?
Yeah. But at that time, I was thinking the technology, but I didn't know which technology we can transfer, because at that time, I have no idea how to do this business. Yeah, I have no money, I have no connections. I mean, networking, guanxi, I didn't have nothing. So it was just an idea. And I started to make this idea come true just in 2011, when I built up.
So it took 5 years.
More. It took 7 years.
What did you do in between?
Export-import business. We export from China construction materials, equipment, and such kind of things to Russia. And then we scale to CIS countries, Belarus, Ukraine, Kazakhstan, Georgia, Armenia, and so on. And yeah. So that's where I make my first money. And then in 2011, I built up the business plan for technology transfer. And in 2012, I established a company. So your question was about our some numbers, the revenue and the clients and so on.
Some idea of the size, because it's important for people who listen to us to get an idea at which stage you are in terms of development. It's a different story when you start, when you develop, or when you are mature. So at which stage are you currently? How many companies do you represent? How many cases do you get? Revenues, the team members, any number to have an idea.
Oh, okay. Let me go step by step. I will explain. So in back 2011, when I built a business plan, I was alone. It was just me. In 2012, when I established this company, it was two of us, me and my wife, because my wife helped me a lot to build. So she's Russian, but living in China with me. And just in 2014, we hired three first employee was hired in early 2014. For now, two of them is still work with me and become a younger partners, and one of them left, and he's a senior consultant in Ernst & Young in Australia.
Okay.
So, and from 2014 till now, we have more than 20 employees. I'm talking about just Eurasia Development. We have more than 20 employees who in charge of law things, legal consulting, like analysis, intellectual property, lawyers, and so on. Also people who translate, also people who make the connections and communications with the Chinese partners. So for now, we have more than 20 people. The maximum revenue, and here we talk just about Eurasia Development. I will explain you a little bit more later why I separate these things. Maximum what we have is about 20 million US dollars a year. But it depends.
20 million US revenues for 20 people?
Yes.
That's huge.
Yes.
But
yes.
What your cost? Do you distribute cost? What's your cost? Your cost is not only about consulting, right? You buy the technology.
No. We don't buy technology. We do mostly consulting. That's the point. Sometimes if we talk about business model, our business model mostly is a consulting. But sometimes we also get the equity. For example, some startups coming to China or plan to come to China, and we have some big potential of them. and we think to cooperate, and they need the help because they don't know how to act in Chinese market. They don't know how the law works here, how you need to communicate with the Chinese partners, potential strategical partners or investors or GR, government relations, how to build it up. So we help them with all of these things, and just sometimes we get the equity from these projects. Like, for example, for now...
I'm sorry, but I feel very, very surprised. It's 20 million US or 20 million RMB?
US dollars.
20 million US.
Exactly.
So you are a millionaire?
Not really, but everything depends. Okay, let me explain. Some deals, some cases, right? Make us like about 30,000. We work on some case for 1 year or even more, and it can bring us like about 30,000 US dollars of the profit. 30,000 for a year. So it's a small number. But sometimes if we're talking about some M&A deals and we help to sell some company to Chinese strategical partner or some big investor or whatever, there could be some absolutely different number because we can get like about 1 million US dollars bonus. So that's the point. So M&A is much better in this case.
Then your company is extremely profitable.
Yes, we are profitable, but we are growing. You see, we are investing. So my strategy is to use the profit which we get to invest in other projects. Like, for example, we invest to Dodo Pizza. Maybe you heard about this, maybe not. It's very interesting Russian startup.
I'd like to know. Yeah, I'd like to know more. I went on your website and I saw this case on your website. I have to find back actually the notes that were prepared by my team on your company, because we prepared and we looked at your company deeply on the internet, and we found indeed Dodo Pizza, right?
Yes.
It's a case of M&A then, right?
It's not M&A, absolutely.
Okay.
Because we entered into the Chinese market with this company together. So back to 2015, we started this project. We start to learn more about it. I wrote to the founder of the project. Let me start from the beginning. Okay. The Fyodor Ovchinnikov, it's a founder of Dodo Pizza. He found this company in 2011. It was a small pizza chain. The guy, he's a crazy entrepreneur. He have a dream.
Where from?
From Russia.
From Russia?
From very small Russian city. Huh?
Most of your clients are from Russia.
Mostly yes, but actually, the first deal which we closed in China was the project from Georgia. I mean the country Georgia, not the state.
Yeah, it was the CIS, right?
Yeah, it was the biology project.
Soviet Union countries.
Yeah, exactly. So it was the biology project. We're trying to see what Chinese market needs. Like, for example, just 20 years ago, China doesn't drink milk at all, right? But now they drink a lot. So after milk comes some yogurts. And like even 6 or 7 years ago, some sour cream factory was established and built up in Shanghai and so on. So in late 2014, we see this, like 5 years ago, we see that this market is growing. So we will start thinking what China will need in this case. And we get an idea, maybe something for the milk product, maybe something for the sour cream or something like that, or yogurts. So we have connections. You see, my company have a big connections all around Russia and CIS countries, which is ex-USSR, also with Georgia. Like we have connections with the Academy of Science of Georgia. And we found some interesting project there. It's a bacteria. Georgia for 1,000 years drinking milk and making some products from this. So they have interesting technologies in this field. So we find some company, not a company, actually it was a few engineers who working on bacteria. So we took these engineers, we took this bacteria, bring them to China, make the joint venture in China, attract a little bit more than $5 million to this project. build up the laboratory here in China, in Yantai.
In Yantai? Okay.
Exactly.
Is it that most of your projects have a link with Yantai? Is it your strategy?
It used to be because you see, I cooperate a lot with the technology parks in China. Mm-hmm. If you know, maybe you know the organization which calls Torch. Torch, it's...
I'm not familiar with it.
It's a government association of technology parks, which include more than 100... Sorry?
How do you spell? Tourch,
as I remember in English.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let me... maybe I have somewhere logo. Oh, no. It's, I can send the link in later.
Sure.
So the point is that it's a big association of technology parks. You know that China invests a lot in new technology, in the fundamental science, and also in acquisition of technology or buying, as I say, brains from overboard in different technology fields all around the world. So I cooperate with them for a while, not a while, many years actually. And this is one of our strategy. Like, we know how to cooperate with the technology parks, with government technology parks in China. So, and we bring, and these technology parks give very good conditions to, if you enter to China market. Like, for example, if you rent the office in Shanghai, it costs sometimes $1,000. Like, I don't know, I'm sure that your office is pretty expensive, right? But if you come to the technology park and if you prove that your project is interesting, they can give you like office for free. Free space for 3 years, like 100. You want 100 square meters? Okay, 100 square meters in the beautiful building, in the glass, for free for 3 years, and so on. So, and sometimes also they can cut your taxes, like income tax and so on. So they take
How much
less.
Can they cut?
About 10%. From 25 to 15%, yeah.
Oh, okay. So for the people who listen to us, the tax on profit in China is 25%.
Yes.
And some technological park can reduce to 10 to 15%.
15 to 15%.
10%. I see.
Yes. So, and also some other, they have the grant programs, which if you bring the company in China and you start some research and development here, important or not that important, it depends on you, but you have engineers here and you make research and development, you also can participate in some grants programs, which give you the money. Like, for example, our partner just received like $1 million as a grant.
That's huge.
Yeah, it's and for me it's free. For him, it's a free money. He can use it for business and development.
Let's be more specific. What kind of company can get this grant, and what do you have to commit to for this grant? I interviewed an entrepreneur before who raised money from JD.com, and their office is in a technology park. And what they do actually, they receive the grant and they have to create jobs. They have to stay in the park and you have to create a certain number of jobs based on a business plan. What's your experience with getting grants from the Chinese government as a foreign company, which is something I don't know precisely because the company he was managing is a Chinese company. As a foreign company or a joint venture, when you get a grant, what do you need to commit on?
Actually, for now, it's going to be the same. It doesn't matter. Okay. If your company is established in China, even as a joint venture or whole foreign-owned enterprise, if you establish company in China and make some research development, of course, they have some requirements, okay? So how many people should work on research and development department, and so on. But it depends from grant to grant, from province to province, and from program to program. It's usually a little bit different.
That's it. And do you know those different programs all over China, or you focus?
We don't know all of them, but now we are working on that. I think till the end of the April, we're going to have the list of the most programs in China, because we want to provide this as a service in the future too.
As far as I understand, you try to understand the environment in China, which industries can work, like you talked about milk or bacteria from Georgia, company dealing with bacteria, and you look at the grants, the ecosystem, the park, the tech park, and then you reach out to the companies, which is mainly within CIS, Russia and CIS, to tell them why not hire us in order to enter the Chinese market, produce in China, and set up a Chinese presence or a Chinese factory for the world, or to sell in China. Is it your model? Is it how you work?
In some case, yes. Actually, I want to make clear one thing. We doesn't doing factory setup. We're helping to construct, because, for example, some hardware project is coming to China. They produce, I don't know, for example, some kind of hardware product. It's a robot or it's a drone or whatever. So they have some parts, very important parts. They have intellectual property and they have know-how, which they don't want to open to other companies, right? So the goal is to find the reliable producers in China who already produce some parts. Like, for example, it could be 10 different factories who produce different parts of the product. Mm-hmm. And then we make one place where we set it up. We combine it together. Assemble the final product, yes. So, and over there, we hold the know-how.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that a lot, I was talking with a big accounting firm, and it was telling me that a lot of businesses, foreign businesses, are mainly about assembling different products in China and then exporting or selling within the Chinese market, but not producing every part and mostly assembling.
Exactly.
I get more and more clear about what you do. But the thing is, I'm still uncertain on how you can manage so many things. You're 20 people in your team. They have this core competence of regulation, law, how to assemble, or they know how to find the right people. What's the model? Do your core advantage to find the right people, find the right partner, or it's everything internalized, which should be very hard?
Okay, most important, and what we do. Actually, in some case, our companies is the same. We sell information. We sell knowledge. That's the most important thing, because most of the companies in Russia, actually in other countries too, they don't know how to work, how to manage business in China. They don't know even how to enter to this market. So what do? We take, when the clients come, we check in the technology. First of all, checking in China, because maybe there is some competitor technology which unknown in the Western market is already exist in China. So we check this. We check the SIPO. It's administration of the intellectual property in China. We have the full access to this database, so we check the patents, copyrights, the trademarks, and so on. So first we check this part. Also, of course, we check the market. Then we go further. We check they're making some legal research, because you know that some of the technologies in China is prohibited. Not technology, international investments, right? Foreign investments in China, some is prohibited.
For people who listen,
restricted.
As you said, so there is encouraged, so it can be 100% foreigner. There is tolerated, and there is forbidden. For instance, agriculture is very difficult to enter, so most of it is forbidden, and of course everything which is linked to weapon army is forbidden for a foreign player. Like in a lot of different countries, actually, it's forbidden for foreign player to produce a weapon in a country which is not his. We have 3 different categories. So first you check that. Okay.
Yeah. So yes. So we check. Actually, China have 4 categories.
What's the 4th one?
I don't remember how to say it in English, but it's prohibited, which you cannot do anyway in China, such as mobile phone. Mobile telecommunication projects, right? Or restricted for example, the car making, right? All the car producers, when they come to China, they share, like give the 50% or sometimes even 51% of the shares of the company to China government companies. In the same time, they bring know-how, they bring all intellectual property, they bring their engineers, they teach local staff how to do these products. So it's like a, ticket to the entering to the Chinese market. So, okay. And two more, it's when it's allowed it to do business in China. And one more, when it's, preferable, when the government helps you.
I see, encourage
them. Yeah, exactly. So we check these kind of things because over there is also many details. Just like last year, we have an interesting case with, I don't know, can I say the name or not? Maybe I'm not going to say the name of the company, but it's very famous company in Russia. It's a IT project, very famous. It's like one of the 20 best IT companies by the Forbes list in Russia.
What kind of IT? Is it like a CRM? Is it like cloud?
If you don't mind, I'm not going to say, because if I say, I'm sure that all people will understand, but we have the strict NDA about this. I'm sorry. But maybe later I will, when we meet, maybe we will discuss this. So the point is, that was very interesting. When we check, first of all, is it restricted or allowed it to come with such kind of business to China? It was allowed it. But when we start searching more deeply, they would need to have some license for it. Actually, okay, I will explain. It's an IT platform. So they need to get some license, such as ICP, EDI, and so on.
Yes.
And such a kind of license just joint venture company can get, whereas at least 50% owned by Chinese. So, and our mission is to understand how to bring this company to China. So, and if you give me one more second, not just legal research is important, because much more important to get feedback from the Chinese experts. And this was your question. You find the people. Yes, that's what we do. For the whole time of our job, we build up a big networking of the Chinese experts. We have more than 200 Chinese experts who works in the different fields, technology fields, as AI, biotechnology, medical technology, big data, and so on. So we have the experts who work in this business in China. So we can come to them and get their feedback about technology. Does it acceptable? Does Chinese market needs this technology or not? And then we build the strategy how to soft land and land this company in China, how to scale, or maybe we need to go straight to some strategic partner to scale much faster. Like your example was about JD and the company who get the grant, because it's a great opportunity for scaling in China if you have the partnership with JD or Alibaba or Baidu or such a big companies. Yes.
You say 200 experts. How do you interact with them? Because you don't hire them, right? They are external experts. How do you keep in touch with them? Make sure that you keep the connection, because you don't have always a product for them. How do you handle the relationship and the connection?
Sometimes it's friendship. First of all, it's my position position of my life to make more friends as I can.
Then in Yantai?
No. All around China. Yes, all around China. Shanghai, Beijing, Shenzhen, everywhere. Like we cooperate a lot, with Guizhou province. It's a Guiyang city, because the center of the big data in China is Guiyang. Like in the end of the May, we'll go there and we meet with some very big companies, and not just the companies, with some government people, officials over there, and we cooperate with them a lot. Like this end of the May, I will bring there 8 Russian projects. Different, like it's a virtual reality, artificial intelligence, big data projects, new retail projects, and so on. So, and one more thing about interacting, and you asked me. You see, in some case, we copied the venture capital companies model. Because if you take a look at the venture capital companies, the company who manage, like for example, $100 million US, like invest there or there, usually it's about 3 to 4 people manage these sums. All other people who consult them, it's a people who outsourced, or it's experts. It's a networking which work with them, cooperate with them. Sometimes you can pay them. Sometimes you can motivate them by different way. So in some case, we copy this model because we also see the future of the company. We are thinking about establishing the venture fund in the future who gonna invest to the projects who come to China market. Because now we're not ready for this. Anyway, we are learning more and more about China and how to work here, and we need more successful cases here. But when we're going to be ready, yes, we have such kind of plan.
Okay, let's talk about specific cases. You began to talk about Dodo Pizza, but I have on your website, and I got a print screen of a portfolio: Sky-N, Hudway, Farms Nanny, Biotech Agro, Will, CG Biomed Research, Rural Arm Project Group. Could you tell us what you did for a couple of them, the ones which could be good illustrations of what you do?
Okay, let's start from my favorite one. This project, I start from talking about that, but didn't finish. It's Dodo Pizza. Actually, it's an IT company who making pizza because, for now, company have more than 70 IT developers who build the Dodo IS. It's like information system who manage the whole business. It's very interesting. In the core, it's an IT company. And the final product for the final customers, if we talk about B2C, it's a pizza. But IT system helps to manage all the processes. Yes, I invite you to visit us because I think maybe next month we have grand opening of the new pizza shop. We
in
call
Yantai?
it. No. In Yantai we have one. We open in Hangzhou. In downtown is a very good place. Under us is Hema. And we open new pizza shop which doesn't have cashiers. You cannot pay by cash or cards there and so on. And also we implementing the artificial intelligence for quality control and such a kind of thing. So it's a interesting new retail format. So I invite you. So what we do with the project? In 2015 we start cooperation with this project. Me and my team start preparation, the strategy, how to bring the company here. We start from market analyze. We analyze the market of the pizza and who we're going to compete with and how we need even to change the recipe of the product to the customers. And then we localize the IT system here. It was also interesting story because, you need to use local systems and so on. So, we localize the system. We adopt the product. We establish a company here and launch in 2016. We launched the first pizza shop in Yantai for market test. So, and the format which we start here, actually it's acceptable in all countries where we work now. For now, Dodo Pizza works in 12 countries. And it's...
Okay. In Yantai, could you give us a bit an idea of how big the shop is, how many clients you got over a year within the shop?
Okay, I will tell you. We have, maximum what we have about 200 orders a day. It's not that much. The revenue is pretty small. The maximum revenue which we get, it was about 250,000 RMB a month. Okay. It's not that much actually. It's very small money. The pizza shop is pretty small. It's totally 110 square meters, including the kitchen. So it's small. But anyway, the point is that the format which we start here is not really good for China. Yeah, we become profitable on 7th months after launching, after start.
Which is very good.
Yeah, which is very good for this kind of projects. But the return of investment is very slow, very low. So we need to change something. And yes, and
I see. So what you are saying is that you are cash flow positive, meaning you cover your cost after 7 months. But because you don't have a very high margin, it will take a lot of time to pay the first 6 months of investment plus the initial investment you have made. That's what you say.
Exactly. And our business model is not just corporate chain. We also plan to franchise. And for this, we need a lot of Chinese potential partners, right? Who's going to be a franchisee, who's going to buy it and pay us a royalty, and they will be happy in the future. But if ROI is pretty bad, then they're not going to be happy, and our brand is not going to, boom, not going to booming. So we changed the format. It's take for us 2 years to collect the data, to understand what we need to change. And last year we make a new strategy. We change everything, and now just this pizza shop will be opened in Hangzhou in 1 or 1.5 months.
Wow, nice. Yeah. Can you tell us more about what's specific for this pizza restaurant? You said it's an IT company. It's a tech company. Does it mean that you have very few people in the shop? Does it mean that everything goes online and you get delivered? So what does it mean to be an IT company for a pizza restaurant?
Yes, there is an IT system which help you. It's collecting all the data, and it's have very friendly interfaces for the workers who work in the pizza shop, for the employees, and of course it's connected to some systems for delivery. So it's like O2O format. There's a bunch of things. I think I can show you how it works in reality. If you come to pizza shop, I will show you how it works. In the future, of course, we're going to implement much more innovative things, such as AI. As I told you before, it's already tested. We trained the Neuralink in Russia, and we will implement it in Chinese pizza shop. Because, short explanation, every pizza which coming out from the oven should be checked by the shift manager. Is the quality of the pizza is good enough to give it to the client or not? So it's a seconds, but anyway, it's a seconds. It's a time of the manager in the pizza shop. So we put the camera, camera with Neuralink, which was trained and understand which pizza is good enough and it's made by our standards, or it's not good enough and it's not made by our standards. So, we can't.
Okay, so by visual, I don't say facial because it's not face, but by visual recognition, you can know if the pizza is made of the ingredients you want to use, is big enough, and so on. I see.
Yeah.
Does it work already in Russia? Is it already working in Russia?
Yes, it's testing in Russia. Also, of course, in the big cities in China, if you stay in the place where there's a lot of people coming to the pizza shop, you need to cut the time for the ordering and such kind of things. And China is pretty good at this. China actually now have a lots of new business models, which now we are copying. Everybody was talking before the China copy, and it was actually one of the biggest problems for us to bring projects here, because the founders and inventors, they're afraid of China. They said, is everything, they will steal everything, we're not going to go there. So it was one of the biggest barrier. But now we see absolutely different situation. China making their own business models. So now we also learn from them. Like we also set up like WeChat mini program for our Dodo Pizza and so on. So which I will send you the link. You will see how it works.
Okay. How do you work with Dodo Pizza? Do they pay you to operate and they hire you? Do you take equity in the company? Do you take the license in China? What's the deal
Okay.
with such a company?
Okay, I have equity in the product, in the company, in the project. I mean, in the Chinese part of the project, because company now growing all around the world. And yeah, I'm just in charge. Not in charge. I used to be in charge because I used to do all of this project, but now we have the CEO of the project who also grew up from my first pizza shop. So in our first pizza shop was not just for testing, it's also for preparing the stuff, the management, and of all levels. And now, the people who grew up from the pizza shop, they are building new retail project. And now we have the office in Hangzhou.
Okay. Did you finance then with your own funds, or this company was able to actually pay also for the start, for financing the lead, for financing the first job, and so on?
In the beginning, I financed that. In the beginning, it was my investments. Not big. It's like about $500,000, and not small, about $500,000 US. And then, from last year, the global Dodo Pizza office start investing to this project. And the next step, I plan to attract more investments.
I see.
For scaling, for growing a little corporate chain, like for example, 10 pizza shops we can open in Qingdao or some other big city, and then we're gonna be ready for selling the franchise.
Okay. I feel that you have been very involved in this project. My question is, if you are as involved as you are on this project, Dodo Pizza, how can you have so many projects? Are you sleeping, taking weekends, or you're working all the time? And how do you manage your company? Because I feel you are very involved in your projects. You're able to talk about them in details.
Actually, I'm not involved in all projects totally, right? Anyway, some projects I prefer because I invest there. Some projects we just work with and we consult them, but we have the team who do this job. I just building out the strategy vision, how to work with this and where to go, or which connections we need to turn on, to which expert we need to go to finalize the strategy or to understand how to work here or here. About the sleeping, I sleep not that much, unfortunately, but I get used to. Weekends, for last 9 years, I've been in the trip with my family for fun just one time. It was last year. For 9 years, I didn't go nowhere, just work. But it's...
And you went to Qingdao?
Good joke. No, we went to Turkey.
Okay. Yeah. But so my question about how you manage your company is that I understand you invested in Dodo Pizza, so I think you may be much more involved into it.
Yes.
But how can you scale your business if you are so involved in the projects
we prepare the team. Most important is the people. Every business is always about the people, you know that. Mm-hmm. So our focus is to find and prepare the right people. One of the focus for every business. Because if we talk about the Skyeng, it's just a consulting. We consult them how to do this.
Let's go to other products. So Skyeng is purely consulting. No, let's keep it now. Do you have another product where you were very involved in the operations in China?
Mostly it's a Dodo Pizza. For others, it's a consulting. So, and different consulting, right? Some one of them need like just intellectual property strategy, right? So we are thinking how to protect the intellectual property so it's not going to be stolen and so on. And just sometimes to sell it, because you see technology transfer. Let's define what is technology transfer. For this, we need to define these two words. Mm-hmm. What is technology? It's knowledge, it's know-how, it's all kind of intellectual property objects. What is a transfer? It's a selling, buying, it's licensing, sub-licensing, and franchising. So that's what we do for the most of the companies. We consult them how to take their technology or company, bring it to China, how to soft land it, and find the right partners, hire the people inside, and find the right partners in China. But we're not making the business development for them.
I see.
So that's why we not spend much time for this.
Okay. Talking about being in Yantai, I always thought that if one foreigner was in a second tier city or third tier city, and he could actually try to support a lot of oil companies, foreign companies, to establish in the third tier cities. For instance, in Yantai, how many people live in Yantai?
Yantai, if we talk about the downtown, it's about 2 million people. But if we talk about the whole Yantai, it's 7.2 million people.
That's huge. That's the size of Belgium. That's the size of the country.
Yes.
So you could actually be the Russian citizen to get all the business from Russia and even maybe much more businesses from overseas and so on. Do you think there is a strategy for you to say, I am the Yantai guy. I am the one you need to go through. Who is going to really be have the connections, understand Yantai, to be in Yantai and develop in Yantai? Or do you feel that that's too narrow? There is no much of growth there.
Depends on the project. For example, if it's going to be like some agricultural project, like Biotex Agro, you can see it also in my portfolio in the website. It's an agricultural project. In this case, of course, Yantai is good because Shandong province is agricultural province, and you can find a lots of customers here, final customers. Also, there are some laboratories for testing the soil, and so on. So in this case, yes, this is a good one. But if we talk about like a big data project, of course, it's better to go to Guyana. Because, the China is growing by clusters. When it's going to be export-oriented economy, when they think about just export. Remember, there was a cities, like city which produce, suits, and city which produce lighters, and so on. So, but now in high technology, they grow in the same way, like a city of big data, Guyana. City of hardware, Shenzhen, like AI mostly in Beijing, and the biotechnology is mostly in Shanghai, and so on. So it depends from the project. In many cases, I advise, if it's necessary, to land in Yantai because the costs is much lower here. Cost for living, cost for the employee, cost for the rent, and so on. For the first entering, for the soft landing, maybe Yantai. Not for all, but for the some projects, is very good position.
I'm going to surprise you, but the first company I started, I was thinking of starting in Yantai. The reason is because there was a very famous French, Mr. Humbert, you may know him.
I know him.
Who was advertising a lot about Yantai. So I went to Yantai. I was in Beijing. I went to Yantai, meet with him. And then I found out that actually the help of the government was not much. Actually, it was pretty much the same process. And the disadvantage I would have is that I would have to move everything from Beijing to Yantai. It would be more difficult for me to recruit people. It would be more difficult for me to be in an international environment where I could get more clients. It's easier for me as well. I was another business. And I said that actually it would be more complicated. And I think I have another friend who started a language school. I registered the company in Jinan because his wife is from Jinan. And that's so troublesome because they are living in Beijing and they have to go for everything which is administrative. They have to go to Jinan, not far from Beijing, but still they have to travel to Jinan. I understand the cost, but at some point you also need to have access to the market. And it may not be the most dynamic market in Yantai. Also, you need to get access to talents, and a lot of talents want to be in Beijing and Shanghai, Guangzhou, or Shenzhen. I'm not saying that there's no talent in Yantai. I'm sure there are, but maybe they are as expensive as it is in other cities because they are very scarce. So, is the cost topic? I understand in terms of offices. I understand in terms of cost of living, but it has a downside, which is the access to the market and to the life of every day. What do you feel about what I'm saying now?
Yeah, I totally understand you. Talents, yes, sometimes it's a problem to find talents here. And but for this, if we talk about my company, we're searching for talents all around China and Russia and Ukraine and wherever. So yeah, we're looking everywhere. And some of them is coming to Yantai. Yes, after Shanghai and Beijing, we have the people who come here to work with me. If we're talking about the access to the market, well, everything now is, it depends from the technology and it depends from the product which you work with, because now everything is online. A lot of my stuff works online. Like, for example, we have in our company people who doesn't like to work in the office. And their productivity is much higher when they work at home or wherever they want to, but not in the office, because people feel uncomfortable when they're staying with other people. Yeah, it's such a kind of people. And I see if I put him to the office, his productivity go down. If he's sitting at home, his productivity go up. So why not work at home? I don't care. I need the result. So for me, it's not a problem. So we can work, like, for example, last 6 months, I wasn't in Yantai, even more. No, I just come back to Yantai and I've been here last time in August. So from August to March, I've been everywhere. Shanghai, Moscow, Russia, different cities and so on, but not in Yantai. But everything is working. Like, for example, one of directors of Eurasia Development now, he moved to Russia for, like, I think maybe for 1 or 2 years. The other one, like chief operation officer, I think that we're gonna open the small office, maybe in co-working in Beijing, and he can move there. So, you know, we can work this way.
I see. Talking more specifically of what Russia and China can bring to each other. Russia has been very strong on technology. I mean, the first country to send a being outside of into space, right, with Sputnik, and a lot of technology has been developed in Russia. On the other hand, China is a big giant as a market, as we say, AI and so on. Which field do you feel as the most promising between Russia and China in terms of technology?
Yes, thank you. Good question. Mathematics. Russians are very good in mathematics. If you take a look at the like mathematical Olympic games, like last 5 years, I think Russians won from universities, guys from universities. So it means that they are good in algorithms, also AI algorithms. In the same time, Russian specialists is much cheaper compared to Europe or compared to US. Like big data scientists. These people cost a lot, and Russia have them. But actually, let's talk not just about Russia. If we talk about the AI, it's also the Belarus. They have lots of interesting projects and lots of data scientists and AI researchers who work in Belarus. So we of course, Russia is a big market. We focus on that, but for the future, we think we need to go global. Because anyway, you see, most of our clients is the startups. I mean the startups, not the early stage, the startups of the late stage, like after round A and so on, who already have some money and can pay us for consulting. And in this case, we need to take a look at all world, because US have much more startups. But in the same time, some of them want to enter the China market, and they also doesn't know how to work in China. And we already have the client. Actually, they are from Russia, but it's already American company. We have 2 clients like that.
I see. You are mainly working for foreign companies entering China. I believe that you have tried to also about already supporting Chinese companies going overseas, Russia, maybe more specifically. Some companies Chinese companies are doing very well in Russia. DHgate, AliExpress, for instance, for the Russian market. Have you already begun on serving Chinese companies to go to Russia, and do you have cases to share with us?
Okay, actually, we start to think about this back 2014. 2014, we start to think about this. We go to some Chinese companies and said, "Hey guys, we can make a scouting for you. We can research and found some technologies and products and startups which can come to China and which you can acquire or whatever." But companies which we found at that time, Chinese companies, they wasn't ready to pay for this service. So we said, okay, maybe need more time. And at the same time, I see that it's a huge potential. It's just incredible how many companies, Chinese companies in the future can go overboard, especially to CIS and Russia market. And I see this, and we are preparing platform for this. We're not serving this.
Not yet.
Not yet. This year, right now, we have negotiation with the Chinese company. It's a big Chinese company. It's already unicorn. We have negotiation with them, and maybe next week we plan to sign the contract. Now we are discussing finalize the details. If we do this, it's going to be our first case when we go with Chinese company to Russia. But now we don't have such kind of cases. Okay. In the same time, I feel that it will grow. This market will grow because the geopolitical situation in Russia. Now they have bad relations with Europe and US, and because of this, technology transfer from the Western countries to Russia is like a closed. Okay. Even if we try to remember like 1930s. It's a Stalin time. Most of the factories in 1930s and 1940s in Russia was built up by the American and Europeans, according to American and European technologies. Yes, and it wasn't stolen. The Germans, French, and the US, like even Ford supply all the projects to Russia, to Mr. Stalin. Yes, okay. He sold it. But now, Western markets doesn't selling the technologies to Russia. Sometimes like Siemens try to play these games or some other big companies trying to do this, but mostly it's closed. And in the same time, we can see that China is growing. It's becoming the technology superpower. Of course, some of the projects, some of the technology, such as robotics, for example, because I'm sure that in a few years, China will be number one in the world in the robotics. I mean, industrial robots. By the government plan, by 2020, they plan to build 50% of all industrial robots in the world. So it's a big number. They already acquired KUKA. There was just 3 big producers in the world. 2 of them is Japanese and 1 is German, KUKA, and it's already acquired by MyIdea. It's a Chinese company. So they do a great job. In the same time, Russia will need this. So yeah, we can play on this field. We can bring Chinese technology to Russia in the future. So we prepare.
Then the question is it interesting? Is it a big market enough for Chinese companies? I feel that when we talk about the French market to Chinese companies, it's too small. It's only 67 million people. It's like the size of maybe Antwerp or even less. Russia is about 150 million as far as I remember. CIS, I don't know, maybe 250 or how many people in CIS?
Russia is about 148 million totally, and all CIS about 250 million. So
is it good enough? Is it big enough for Chinese companies?
Depends on the technology and the company, of course. But Russia market is also pretty hard because of course European market is much better for Chinese, and they of course focus on the US and European market, but the third largest market is Russia.
Okay.
I mean, in this case, but the problem is that the economical situation in Russia is not that good. So yes, depends on the product. But for example, like some generic, I mean the medical products, can be sold a lot in China, from China to Russia. And as I remember, Russia is importer number one of Chinese generic. I should recheck this information. I'm not sure, but Russia is pretty big market for China in this case. So, yes.
I see. My last question, because it's already 1 hour. How do you stay up to date? I feel you have a lot of knowledge about tech parks. You tell me biotech is more Shanghai, AI is more in Beijing. You have all this knowledge about China. How do you stay up to date? Do you read in Chinese, all this knowledge, all this information? Do you read in English? Do you talk with people? Do you meet with a lot of people? How do you gather all this information and stay up to date?
Okay, my main mission in the company and maybe in my life, it's communications. I communicate a lot with all kind of people. Yes, I talk a lot. I every day I'm always on the phone or by some Skype or Zoom meetings, and I talk, and trying to collect this information and make some strategies. So yes, this is this is what I do. Communications. I communicate English mostly. My Chinese is not that good. When I come to China, I knew just 2 words, which is Ni hao and Xie. And the third word which I learned was Kanbei. That's how my business starts.
Do you have to drink a lot in China?
I used to. Before I come to China, I didn't drink a lot at all. But Shandong province is the most drink people.
You drink for business, right? It's for business.
I used to do it, but I quit drinking in 2013 at all, and I don't drink alcohol.
It's accepted. It's accepted by business people in China.
Yes. Sometimes they look at you like this, but it's also depends. On the south of China, they don't care. They ask you one time, what do you drink? Like wine, baijiu, haishishima. And if you say, I don't drink at all, they say, okay, no problem. In the north of China, yes, sometimes they look at you like this, like, why you don't drink with me for respect or something. I said, guys, sorry, I don't drink at all, because I give them some reasons. Like, okay, I need to take care about my health. I'm preparing for the kid or whatever.
Yeah, I feel actually it's pretty well tolerated to be a bit different. Actually, I think Chinese business people are very tolerant towards foreigners who have different habits.
Yeah, people in China change a lot. For these 13 years which I stay in China, people change a lot, because now I meet people. I meet a lot of Chinese who is open mind. It's such a great people, like our chief communication officer, he's a Chinese, but when I'm looking at him, sometimes I'm thinking he's not from China, because he's more open maybe than me. So,
and maybe you have changed as well.
Yeah, yeah, probably.
Thank you very much for your time. It was very instructive. Congratulations for everything you've done. I discovered your company through the notes that Sophia prepared and through the interview, and I'm very impressed. I'm looking forward to meet with you in person when you're in Shanghai. And maybe I will go to Yantai. But if you're not in Yantai, it would be useless.
I hope to see you in 1 month.
Yeah. Good. Thank you very much. Have a good week.
Thank you, Matthieu. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everyone.